Welcome to another episode of The Recruitment Doctor with me, Dan Hoff Rodriguez. What a hot week it's been. Absolutely sweltering, so that's why my door is slightly ajar, so apologies. So today I wanted to talk to you about maintaining and evolving your culture within a remote setting when it comes to communicating with your employees. Obviously, I harp on about culture quite a lot. So what does culture mean to me? Well, ultimately, it's the environment. It's constantly evolving, it's changing, but it's the environment that you create in the way that your senior leadership team, your managing team, your hiring team, it's the expectations, it's the culture that is built and in the environment that your employees ultimately work in. I'm sure you guys will have your own opinion of what a culture is, but ultimately for me, it's not static and it's constantly evolving and it's constantly changing. So, when we talk about culture pre-COVID, it was pretty obvious. I think culture is defined by also the things that you do to influence your employees and keep them happy and how you retain them, but ultimately the way that you paint that picture to employees when you're at interview and you're looking to engage candidates, and the experience that you give them in terms of defining that culture at interview, shall we say. But pre-COVID, obviously, ultimately everyone was working in offices, 9 to 5, people were coming in, and that since has changed. And I think ultimately, when we talk about pre-COVID, we're talking about those bums in seats, they're coming in. How productive were those people when they were working 9 to 5? They'll probably be more productive because now, during COVID, and I don't say post-COVID, people that say post-COVID, it's mental. Let's say post double jabs, shall we say, and maybe post Freedom Day. Let's be frank that what businesses are doing is merely adapting, and the expectations on what businesses were going to do was ultimately that perhaps a lot of them were going to shift back to an office environment full time again when it was safe to do so. But the reality is, post double jabs and post Freedom Day, what we're seeing is that businesses in essence are probably going to more of a fully remote working environment where they don't need an office, and they're utilizing shared office spaces, like WeWork and all of those sort of types of office setups, going in for sort of team meetings, monthly or quarterly, just to check in and have that face-to-face environment. Or you're getting businesses that are very much gone from 100% office space to that of a split remote working, and being in the office, once or twice a week type setup. But when we're looking at hiring talent, what you're finding is businesses that would only say recruit in Birmingham or the West Midlands where people were commuting in, that is very much changing, and the access to the talent pool is growing because you're able to hire people from all over the place. So the benefits are there. However, what I really wanted to focus on today was how you give your people flexibility, how you measure the tasks that you're giving to them, how you're communicating that, and effectively how you can evolve your culture while still being remote, because it is harder to do. You can't promote free fruit, pool tables, ping pong tables, a PlayStation 4, whatever, internally anymore in terms of one of the benefits of what your culture looks like. So you've got to be creative, and you've got to work with those people individually, in order to empower them ultimately. So here are a few of my best practices for working in a virtual and a remote world. Number one, communication. We integrate Slack here. I know a lot of tech businesses that use Slack for comms. It's great. You can call, you can video, but ultimately I don't just use it for seeing where they're at with a task. It's really good for that because you can set up different channels. But communication doesn't have to be limited to technology. You could pick up the call, the phone, and I think when you're seeing how their day's going, it shouldn't just be about that task. It should also be about how they're feeling, checking in with them to check that they're okay. That for me is great. But for me, you've got to also give them the tools to do the task. If you don't give them the clarity on what they need to be doing in order to achieve their goals and get the job done, you need to give them the tools to get them on that upward trajectory, in order to give them those foundations to succeed ultimately. So communication and really setting them up on those foundations, giving them the tools to succeed, and then breaking down those goals. If they've got a goal, what the project is, breaking those down. If they're working with a team, as everyone been delegated that task, be clear what that task is so they know how to go and succeed in ticking those tasks to get to the goal. Check in. I always do a brief in the morning, or stand up in the morning, and then I do a stand down at the end of the day, just to check how they're getting on. And I'm always visible. I'm always open. With Slack, it integrates to my calendar, so they know when I'm in a meeting. They know when I'm not available. So again, just ensure that they know when you're available, and be open to hearing them out when they need your support. I always ask, what do you need from me? And ultimately, the top two things for me: trust and empowerment. Ultimately, if you have been clear as to what the task is, if you've given them the goals to succeed, you've given them all of the tools that they need to do the job, you've got to trust them to go and crack on and do it. And if you can do that, and they know exactly where they stand, they know what you and your culture is now in terms of the job, but also the career aspirations moving forward, career development plans, personal development plans, training. What do they need from you? You're giving them the empowerment to go and crack on with that. And ultimately, if you're doing this with every new employee, with every current employee, because once they're in the organization, you shouldn't just be leaving them. They want development, they want support, I'm sure, but sit with them. Every person is different, and that culture, in that happiness, knowing that they can rely on you, that you've got their back, is ultimately contributing to your culture. And that communication thing I touched on, I forgot to finish actually, was that communication isn't just with you as a leader. Communication is there internally with everyone. So everyone should be building that communication channel and that culture together. But asking your employees what they need, what they'd like more of, what support they would benefit from, what training, is ultimately defining your culture. And happy and engaged employees, mean that your customer base is going to have happy and positive people that they're engaging with within your business. So look, as always, I'd love to get your thoughts. I'd like to get your comments. Subscribe, hit the like button, and I look forward to speaking to you again. I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of the weather.